So my name is Knutson Geller. I'm a literary agent and I specialize in spirituality, practical nonfiction, and inspirational memoir.
And what do you go by when deciding what sort of book interests you more or validates more interest compared to other ones you look through?
Well, because my specialty is primarily nonfiction, I am of course looking for outstanding writing, a sense of storytelling that grips me from the first page, a real authority over the subject matter, but I'm also looking at the author's platform. So I'm looking at what they've done to lay the groundwork for getting their message out to an audience. So I'm looking at whether they blog, whether they send a newsletter, what their social media presence is like. And so I'm looking for someone who is not only able to write, but is able to amplify that message out to a wider readership.
Interesting. So why is that important?
It's important because there are so many books published every year that unless your idea is so novel and compelling that it really will speak for itself and draw an audience to it, more and more publishers are really looking for an author who has laid that groundwork of getting a built-in readership even before the book comes into the world.
So marketing by now is not just the publisher's job, but actually you are looking for people who have already made it their own job.
There are always exceptions to that rule. There are definitely totally unknown authors that write their first book and a publisher takes it right off the bat. But I think what's more likely is seeing somebody who the book is a step further along the path than step one. They've been putting themselves out there, be it writing online, submitting to online publications, literary journals, building that readership in advance of writing the book. And it just makes it easier for me as an agent to get a publisher's attention.
And do you usually look for complete manuscripts, or what do people have to send to be considered by you?
That's a great question. I think if you're submitting fiction, you really want to have the full manuscript completed. And if you're working in nonfiction, often I'll submit on what's called a proposal. So it's the outline of the book, it's an outline of the author's marketing and platform that they plan to do for the book, and it's usually a sample chapter.
And what is the one thing that people could do to really grab your attention?
I think what I don't see enough is authors who really know how to encapsulate the main idea of their book in a 1 to 2 sentence hook. So I think, if you as an author can't really grab someone's attention by describing your book in a quick and pithy way, no one else is going to be able to do that for you. So a publisher's not going to have a sense of what your book is about if you can't encapsulate it quickly. So I think if you find yourself as an author unable to do what we call in the business the elevator pitch, then I'll have trouble as an agent getting a sense of what your book really is and who the readership for it is. So I would encourage writers to get a clear sense of that in advance to pitching to an agent.
So when someone sends you material, in sort of the list of priorities, what do you look at first, what do you look at second? I'm assuming at each step people can do things that just lose you and you go, well, that's just not for me.
Yeah, and I think because I work in nonfiction, the material I see needs to be idea-driven. So I'm first drawn to the idea. So many times, I'll say, okay, that's been done before. It's been done before by experts in that field, and it will be really hard to carve out space for that in an already glutted market. But if the idea really speaks to me and is really strong, and I think, I've never seen that done before as a book, that's what grabs me. And then secondary to that, I do look at the name the author has already made for themselves. So they really do need to be an authority in what they're writing on. They need to have, as I said, laid that groundwork. So it's very, very, very hard for an unknown author to break out if they haven't established any sort of pre-existing platform.
And in terms of formatting, is there some sort of professional sense of submitting something where you can already go, well, this person just, it might be a nice idea, but they don't seem to know what they're doing. So in terms of when people really want to get started and want to get those basics right, What goes into submitting the right format of work to you?
Well, in terms of format, first of all, I should mention that I'm teaching a 3-hour intensive on proposal writing. So if somebody isn't clear about how to write a proposal, they can come to that 3-hour intensive. I would say that I really look for a good cover letter, and in these days that means a cover email. So something like using my name in the email and not saying "Dear Agent." Maybe showing that you've done your homework in advance and saying something about my agency and why you think we'd be a good fit. So if somebody's submitting, a fantasy novel, you can see on my website that I really focus on nonfiction. So I like to see that a prospective author has done their homework in terms of why they're submitting to me and not just doing a blanket submission to, 50-something agents. I want to see that pithy encapsulation right up front so that I don't have to sort of wade through a 3-paragraph query to understand, okay, this is what this book is about. This is who the audience is for it. So I want the prospective author to have done that work in telling me, this is my book, this is its genre, this is who it will appeal to, and this is why it's the right moment for this book right now, and I'm the only person who could be telling this story. And then in terms of just really nuts and bolts issues, agents generally don't want to open attachments. We want to see a description of the work right in the email, and that's just simply an issue of not wanting to open viruses attached to emails. So I would suggest writing a description of your work right in the body of the email and then offering to send a proposal or material after the agent has responded.